Hey kids, Bill back in the garage again. Got my coffee, Mickey D's coffee. So I've been making some videos about stuff that happened to me, and I ran into my friend Jimmy today, and he loved the Jana Kalita story. I mean, who doesn't love the Jana Kalita story? So there's so many more stories that I have. So today I'll relate to them. Some of it involve living in the tenement in Glenrock. Couple of things in the family was like verboten taboo. Just a major meltdown in the tenement if these things happened. And personally, I for one think they shouldn't have had kids because they weren't really prepared for having kids and things that happen. So one of the major issues in the tenement was if you spilt milk. If you spilt milk, it was like, whoa, ho, get the tablecloth there, get the so because you couldn't get any, I guess, milk on the rug that was in the dining room that Peggy O'Shea said. My mother asked her what would happen if something spilt on the rug, and Mrs. O'Shea goes, I don't know. I dropped a roast on it. It's okay. So, but that was their house. That was definitely not our house. Um, so one time, and it's like kids, they're growing. They don't know how long their arms are yet. So to me, it's like they didn't have sippy cups in those days. Why don't you just take a small bottle of mayonnaise or something or anything that came in a small container, put a top on it, drill a hole in it, put something to seal it, and put a straw in it. So if the kid did knock it over, it wouldn't spill and be a federal case. But no. You had to have the milk filled all the way up. So one time, Wally spilled her milk, and it was a major. And she was little; she was still in a high chair, and she spilled it twice, and it was like the tension in the tenement could be cut with a sword. That's how thick it was. So I decided this was not a good thing to have happen. So I spilled my milk. Three spills milks in one night. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Look out. Holy shit. So, and Jimmy told me we had intercoms between me and Kevin's house, and Mrs. McGovern came Kevin's room one day, and Jimmy said my father was yelling at me for something. Him and Kevin are in there dying because there was so much yelling in the tenement. I didn't pay any attention to it because it just turned into white noise. So, I don't know. It was just, why these people got so mad about so little is a mystery to me. So, I don't know. Just didn't make a lot of sense. So, anyway, getting back to being on the Group W bench. So, if it was the week and it was school, you had to go in your room at like, I don't know, whenever you got done eating, and you couldn't come out until you went to bed because you had to hit those books. We have to hit those fucking books for learning all stuff that you're never going to use. Like, who gives a shit what Ponce de Leon did? Nobody cares. You ever go on a geometry? Bill, what did Ponce de Leon do? Oh, I don't know. He found the fountain of youth or something. Well, okay, you're hired immediately. Another good fact is like adding, subtracting fractions. Like, who does that? You don't need to do, you look on a ruler, right? A quarter and an eighth of an inch. It's like, there you go. You don't need the lowest common dumbbell and all this other bullshit. It's just all horseshit. And then when you told them that, the teachers just wigged out because that's job justification for them. They've been teaching the same shit for 20 years, and they don't understand it when the kid doesn't get it in 2 weeks. Because, first of all, it doesn't make any sense. You're never going to use this. You ever go on a job interview and the guy goes, hey, what's X? 2. I don't know. 2. Okay, you're hired. You know what X is. What is Y? Y is 3. Okay, hired right away. You know what X and Y is. So you know algebraic, quadratic formulas and everything like that. So there you go with that. So anyway, I'm in my room. I never did any homework. Ellen would come in, and there was no privacy in the tenement whatsoever. She never knocked. She just came in, the door was open or left it open, and then she'd start whacking me on my head because whack, 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 whack. On the back of the head, my head, boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom, boom. So I would take the school book and open it like halfway and put a comic book underneath it. So when she came in, I just closed the book and it looked like I was hitting those books, hitting those books. Got to go to, what was it, Notre Dame? Fucking Notre Dame. Come on, man. I wouldn't go to Notre Dame on a bet. I'd rather go to Southeast Asia, shoot yellow guys than go to Notre Dame. What are you kidding me? Oh my God, I barely made it out of high school at Notre fucking Dame. So, anyway, you'd plow through the comic books in like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and you'd have this book in front of you that's like, oh, it was incredibly boring, whatever it was. I don't know. The religion shit was just, it was over the top. And so was all the rest of it. I mean, my attitude is you know everything by the third grade. You know how to read and write, basic arithmetic. You're ready to go to work. I was. But they don't pay you to go to school, but they want you to do all this work and they're not paying you. Nope. Wrong. Thanks for playing. Everybody out. So, anyway, I couldn't watch television. And then everybody's watching television when I go back to school the next day. And I couldn't fit in on the conversations because I couldn't watch television. So I went, what can I do? So I got my Lafayette. Me and Jimmy were talking about Lafayette Radio Electronics. Great place, Route 17. We ride our bikes there, and I can't believe we rode our bikes all the way Lafayette Radio Electronics. So go off Century Hill and over Route 17, and then we'd ride to the parking lots of the stores, so we didn't have to go on Route 17. So I get my Lafayette Radio Electronics book out, and I figure, let me see what. And Lafayette Radio Electronics book was like this thick. It was the Sears catalog of electronics in those days. And so I started thumbing through this, and I found this thing that was really stuck out. It was a 500 milliwatt AM transmitter. So I went over and I got one. It was like about a little bit bigger than this, right? But it was square, and it wasn't in a box. It was all open, and it had I think it had one capacitor in the middle, a pretty good sized capacitor. It was like that big and about that big around. And then it had, I remember, two tubes on each side, and then it had an input, and you could tune it like to where you wanted it on the AM dial, like 1500 megahertz or whatever it is on the AM dial, and then you could just work your way down. So because we lived in a suburban area, AM dial was pretty well packed all the way. The 77 was ABC, and then 66 was NBC, and so the lower bands were pretty much taken up. But once you got up to like 1400 and 1500, it was pretty free, so you could dial it in. When you had a transistor radio, you could dial it in, and then you could see, as you're dialing in, where it's going to be on the AM radio. So I'm set with that. So I waited till the twins were out. Both twins were out. And I went down a basement. We had a black and white set in the basement. Nobody really went in the basement except my father. He'd go down there and make drinks at the bar and bring them back upstairs. So it was a finished basement. I forgot to say that. So I knew that to pass this muster on this, I was going to have to be a little ingenuity. So I went down. I took the bottom of the television off. It was like a masonite or whatever you call covering, and it went up to the back where the tube was and the speakers were. So I pulled the speaker terminals off the speaker, and then I got a jumper lead I made that fed into my AM transmitter. So I would turn the and I had a timer, a Lafayette Radio Electronics timer too. This was a big thing in those days. There was no, electronics. It was all mechanical. So you set it at like 7 o'clock, and you had to give or take 15 minutes to a half an hour when it would turn on because it went, had a clock, it had like a turn thing with the time, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So you just set this lever to go on at 7 o'clock, and then you could get shows by prime time. By 7:30, the TV be warmed up, and you tune your radio in upstairs so I could listen to the shows. So at least I could participate somewhat in the conversations the next day, because everybody, when you're in school, you want to really fit in, and if you don't, you're kind of fucked. So I would set my timer, and then I tucked everything back up there and put the masonite thing back in, and then I turned the television on. So when my timer kicked on, it would kick on the AM transmitter from Lafayette Radio Electronics, and I would turn the television on. But you couldn't have the television on if one of the twins came down to the basement, because that's just spilling milk. This is an appliance being used. No one's watching it. So I turned the TV on. I turned the brightness all the way down. And in those days, for those of you that are old enough to remember this, you had a little white dot in the middle of the tube that would never go away. You could turn the brightness all the way down, but you had this little white dot in there. So I went in and I got some electrical tape, little teeny piece of electrical tape, and I put it on the center of the thing there. But I had to go down in the morning and take it off, because when Ellen went down there to do her wash, she would just notice every fucking thing, and she would notice the tape. So I just made it a point to go down there. So at 7:30 it would kick on. I'd be in my room, I'd be hitting those books. So I had my little transistor radio, and I had my earplug in. I put that transistor radio on my desk, and I put a whole bunch of books around. No, what I did is I got a book, and then I cut out the pages in the book so the radio would fit in the book, and the book would close, and then I'd run the earpiece up my sleeve into my collar, and I could lean, and I'd have the book in front of me, of the school book, because the comic books, you could blow through those in like no time. So you could read like, I don't know, 5-6 comic books in half an hour, and the other one, you're just like, this is a quadratic fraction that is just so fucking goddamn motherfucking boring. So Ellen would come in and do her mandatory 27 whacks on my head, and then I'd be good for the night. She'd get that out of her system, and everybody would be good. So I'm up there, and I'm listening to my Garrison's Gorillas and all these other shows. So that worked out swimmingly well. She never found out about that. I don't know how, because I guess she didn't really go down there at night. Yeah, because she had to clean. All she did all day is clean. So who the hell was I? Oh, I was talking to Cheryl's brother yesterday, and he's 72, so he remembers the same shit that I remember. So November 22nd, 1963, I'm in Mrs. Mondell's class in Alexander Hamilton School, and she was a pain in the ass. We called her Mondell go to hell, because she was just ridiculous, hard ass teachers that class. It's like Sister Mary Immaculata. So Mrs. O'Connor, nice, sweet lady, one of those, has the sweater over her shoulders and just button the top button, and the glasses with the chain, the whole bit, and glasses are up in the hair, and then the chain. It's like vintage 1950s, early 60s shit. So we don't know anything. It's 1963. A lot of people didn't even have television yet. So Mrs. O'Connor comes in, gets Mondell out in the hall, and Mondell comes back. She's crying and a mess, right? So we didn't know what happened, but we're like, yay, this fucking chick is. So she goes, children, just go home. So it's like, I think he got shot around 1 o'clock in Dallas. So it was like 11 o'clock by us. So I go home. Ellen's there running her vacuum. Doors are all locked. Tenement was always locked. Couldn't get a crab's ass open underwater in that house. I mean, it was just hermetically sealed. That's why me and Wally discussed this. The way we all got so much sick in the winter because there was no fresh air in the house. It was just, you had to lean against the door because there was so much insulation on the door. You had to lean against it. You had to actually slam your body against it to get. I swear, your ears would pop with the pressure change in the house. So anyway, I go home. What are you doing home? Vacuum cleaner shut off immediately. What are you doing home? I go, well, I don't know. So I said, I think the president got. Oh no, he didn't, because everything you said down. No, 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 he didn't. No, no, no. So on goes the television, and then the news comes, right? Oh, so, but nothing ever stopped in the tenement. You could have a president of the United States shot. Nothing stopped in the tenement. So Saturday morning, the Saturday morning after Kennedy gets shot, we're eating breakfast, and then here comes the question. What does everybody have plans for today? Oh my God. Because if you didn't have plans, even if you did have plans, you were cemented into fucking god awful yard work that was not yard work, it was make work project, because he didn't have anything to do with himself during the day. And I swear that he couldn't get laid Saturday night if he didn't spend the whole day working around the tenement with this ridiculous trim the shrubs, trim this, do that. And it was almost worse than hitting those books. It was mind-numbingly boring. I mean, just mind-numbingly boring. And so, I forgot where I was going. Oh, so anyway, Saturday, everybody's out there. Dun, 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 dun. Now, there's nobody outside. There's not a soul outside because everybody's inside in all the tenements around watching this Kennedy thing unfold. I mean, they got Oswald, right? And I think Sunday, Sunday was kind of like an off day because you had church to break it up. So you get up in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock. You had to work till 11 o'clock and then go to church and then, get home at like, what was it, 11:20, 11:30. You went to church. So you get home 12:30, quarter to 1. And that was another thing that was brutally boring. Listen to those guys up. Fishes and 87 people they ate. All this was just 3 fishes. And yeah, okay. Tell your story walking, but okay. So anyway, so we get home and he had to putter around outside. So changes his clothes and I'm watching television, right? And on live TV, Jack Ruby comes and shoots Oswald in the stomach. And I'm like, holy shit. So I ran outside to tell my father that Jack Ruby shot Oswald. And so I don't even think he stopped puttering. The shit outside was more important than the guy that shot the president gets shot. And so I remember I'm watching it. And as Ruby goes up and sticks the gun in Oswald's stomach and pulls the trigger, all these Texas Rangers are sitting there aghast that anybody could have this much balls. And Oswald on television goes, Jack, you son of a bitch. And they couldn't censor it, was live. And I'm like, Jack, you son. So in other words, Oswald knew Ruby. So I never thought that, oh no, wait, I said that wrong. I know for a fact that Oswald didn't shoot Kennedy. And I think that it was a conspiracy between a bunch of people that didn't like him and didn't like his father, and so. But there's no way that magic bullet went through here, hit Connolly, went through there, hit da da dee dee ba blah. So, um, so that happened, and then it was like a major event, and I'm like, the thing I don't understand about the whole thing is Oswald was definitely a patsy, but there was no payout. He never got money. I mean, it was cleared up. Ruby shoots Oswald. Ruby dies in a jail cell like 6, 8 months later of cancer because he knew he had cancer then. And so it was cleaned up pretty good. But there's no way in hell that this was not done by the higher ups. So anyway, now what's going on next? So then I'm in I'm in now I'm in the 10th grade, I think, or I think it's the 10th grade. And I had deliberately shut down because they wanted to put me in all these advanced classes. Fuck that, you know? You'd have to actually do something or give a shit. First of all, you have to give a shit about the advanced class, and that was not for me. So I dumbed it way down. I never did any homework. I never studied for any test. That's a fact. But if you're going to dumb it down, you got to take it to the next level. You have to deliberately fail the tests on such a colossal level that they're not going to put you in the advanced class. So I got put in all the remedial classes. So it's in 11th grade, and I'm in with 10th graders and 9th graders. So now I didn't, I didn't take any books home. I went to my locker in between classes, got that book that I needed for that class, and then I brought that book and had my radio and my other book, and I had my earphone in, my elbow resting on my elbow. So this Liz Schwei was in my geometry class, right? And it was 68, so the girls are wearing skirts up around their necks. And I'm 16, right? So every day she would forget her book. So, and I'm too stupid to realize it's a major come on. So she says, "Can I put my desk next to yours?" Yeah. So now you got bare thighs with the skirt up around her waist. I'm 16. At that age, you get a breeze, you get a hard on, right? So I'm got these fucking hard ons like there's no tomorrow. And she's like, I think she probably knew it. And so then the class would get up, and I have to take my algebra book, which is like this big, and cover my dick because it's going right through my pants. Oh my God. So anyway, that was what happened. And then one time Ellen got an eyeful. This is a funny one. So I'm in my room, the door's closed. Ellen had, I think, Merv Griffin on or something because father went to sleep at like 7:30, 8 o'clock because he got up at like 5 to go to the job wherever it was. So he had sometimes an hour driving if he was working out on the island or something. So pretty much I was confident that when Ellen had Merv Griffin on, she would be in the living room. So I figured, oh, this is a good time to rub one out. So, but you had to cover up what you were looking at. So I got TV guides, and TV guides had pretty actresses in it in, mini skirts and sometimes bathing suits. So it was good fodder for that. Plus, you could always go back to the old reliable, the Sears catalog and the bronze stocking ads, or the bathing suit ads. So, but she got wise to the Sears catalog thing because my father went downstairs, looked at the Sears catalog. She caught him. Anyway, I'm whacking away in my room, right? And here comes Ellen, no knocking. I got a hard on, my dick's out. I'm rubbing away, wanting nah. TV guy's there. Right. She comes in. She didn't know what to do. First of all, she shouldn't have had boys, all right? That's the first fucking thing. She shouldn't have had boys. And Well, she got one. So I'm in there, and she didn't know what. Oh, get the priest. Get Father Mooney. Get somebody. He needs exorcism or whatever the hell. So I went outside after I was done, like half an hour later, and she was so mad and I guess embarrassed and everything else. And I thought the whole thing was incredibly funny because if taking a shit was sexy, then you'd have all magazines with people taking a shit because they think it's sexy. But sex is sexy and it's also messy. And so that's my story. Hope you liked it. Let's go. Oh, I told Jim yesterday, my father's putting in a backstop, St. Catherine's, right? So all the fathers went up there one day to put in a backstop. So they ordered a backstop from somewhere. And so the priests in those days, if they weren't porking little boys, they did a lot of other stuff. Like they worked on a boiler. They drove the school buses in the morning. They were just like regular guys that I don't know for sure if any of the priests I had were gay. Yeah, I guess some of them were, but anyway, but some of them were just regular guys. So Father Kelly was out there digging helping dig the backstop. So I'm a kid, and my father's in this hole about up to his neck because they're going to put the backstop in, and they're going to pour concrete. Get Joel Tannis over and pour on Monday, and put these big stanchions up to hold the backstop because the backstop went up and then it went like way over. So you had to have a whole shitload of concrete in the ground. So Father Kelly's there and I'm there. I think I was the only kid there that I was the only kid that anybody's father brought. I don't know why. So Father Kelly's in there and he's got a t-shirt on and he's got like, I think probably like dress pants that he was using as work pants because he couldn't use them for dress pants anymore. And that's what the fathers that worked in an office, they didn't have like jeans. They used their dress pants when they wore out. Mr. Broomhead did all his work around the house in worn out dress pants. So anyway, Father Kelly's down in the hall, and the backstop was about, I don't know, not far from the rectory. So what the guys were doing is if they had to take a leak and they're in the hole, they're just peeing in the hole, right? So, but being a priest, poor guy couldn't do that. So he said he got up, gets out of the hole. He goes, guys, I'll be right back. I have to take a leak. So we come home, and Ellen's there. Oh, very proud that her man's digging a hole for God and the backstop and everything. So she goes, how'd it go? Were you working with Father Kelly? Oh, yes. Ooh, working with a priest. Don't say anything. So she goes, well, how did it go? So he said, oh, it was great. So he got out of the hole and he said to everybody, I got to go, fellas. I'll be right back. I'm taking a leak. Oh, my God. The priest goes to the bathroom? We didn't know these things. We thought the priest had some divine urination device that he didn't have to ever touch his dingy-dangy down there. So, my father would wind her up with this sort of shit because he knew it was bullshit, but he couldn't say anything. But he could, suggest, very strongly suggest. So he goes, oh, yeah, he had to take a leak. And he said it again. What'd you think, Ev? He can only touch the host with those fingers? He has to get it some way. Oh, my God. Open the world up, suck her in. She was done. It was hysterical. I'm like, holy shit. I can't believe he just said that. There he is eating his food. And she the whole time must have thought that all priests and penguins had some kind of divine urination and defecation device that just took the shit and piss out of them automatically, and they didn't have to ever wipe their asses or touch their dicks or wipe their fronts and whatever. It's just, it was amazing. Now you think back, it's like, how did we ever get through that? No one fucking knows. It's just so much horse shit that you can't even believe it. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, that's my story today, kids. I know I went on a little bit longer than normal on this one, but I still have a whole bunch of coffee in my cup, and it's still relatively early in the tenement here. So, hope you enjoyed it. Again, like and post.